It was such a significant moment. It really was. I always look back at that moment and think, wow, where would I be if I just missed what God was doing in that moment? Well, I don't know where I'd be, but I definitely know I'm here today because of what happened in that moment. So back in 2007, I went to a gathering called The Ramp, a youth gathering in Hamilton, Alabama, led by Karen Wheaton. And my life was radically turned around. I've never been in a company of young people that were so on fire for God. They made me feel like I'd wasted my youth. It was almost like a positive peer pressure, and I like to describe it this way: you don't know you're asleep until you wake up. I was so challenged by the level of intensity and fervency I saw in those young people that I just wanted to dedicate myself all over again to God. At this gathering, there was a moment when Karen Wheaton called us up on stage. She basically said, oh, there are a few kids here from England, why don't you come up on stage? And then she shared of an amazing experience she'd had in Manchester, England, where God really gave her a heart for this city. Before I knew what's happening, she's giving me the microphone and just saying, well, why don't you share something, you know? And to be honest with you, I'm thinking, you don't really know me from anywhere. I could just say anything random right now. Well, I started talking about Joel 2:28, where it says, in the last days I'll pour out my spirit in all flesh, and your sons and daughters will prophesy. And as I'm speaking, I experienced this heart for prayer just came straight down on me, and I've never really done this before. I felt the burden of God just come on me, and literally from speaking, I fell on my face with my head bowed down, just going, God, have mercy, send revival to Manchester, change England, you know, just those kind of prayers. And it was like the whole place just erupted. It's like a bomb just went off, and the place was just like young people just weeping, just crying out to God for England, crying out to God for Manchester. And I really didn't realize how significant that moment was, because that moment changed everything for me. The video of me praying at the ramp went out online, and it ended up getting to the Message Trust, which is a very significant youth ministry in this nation. And the Hawthorne, who leads the Message Trust, played the video at one of the prayer days here, and people were really impacted by this video. And someone in that meeting knew me, so they sent me an email to say, I just saw this video of you praying at some conference in America. I think you should come around and see what we do. So the rest is history. I started working for the Message Trust, you know, helping to mobilize prayer within the ministry. Now, after the ramp, I went to a prayer gathering in Nashville, Tennessee, led by Loengo, and there were 70,000 people gathering to pray for 12 hours from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it was also marking the end of a 40-day fast. And it was a very intense day. And I was very, very moved and stirred by what I was seeing. And I remember thinking to myself in that stadium, Lord, why don't we see people gather like this in England? Not just to have a worship time, not that that's bad, but to really cry out for this nation in repentance and brokenness. And sometime during that day, as I was just worshiping, I just felt God just speak clearly to my heart. And He says, James, you're going to mobilize like this in England for prayer. And I was just shocked, because it was the last thing I was expecting to hear. While I'm working at the Message mobilizing prayer within the ministry, I also start mobilizing prayer outside of the Message Trust, encouraging my friends to start prayer groups. And, you know, I was encouraging friends all across the place to meet weekly to pray. And I started one. And I started going to a few other ones that I was aware of that were going on. Now, as I did this, my heart was stirred to just gather all these groups together to have a day of prayer for the city. So this is really where Prayer Storm came from. So we had the first Prayer Storm gathering in May 2009. So the vision of Prayer Storm is to summon the youth of this nation to a lifestyle of intercession. And even though it's a movement that's focused on prayer, our heart really is to see young people rise up and live a lifestyle that's on fire for God, that's focused, that's free of compromise. And from that place begin to intercede. Now we do this by having prayer gatherings twice a year. And we also have monthly prayer nights that we do to partner with churches and youth groups. We also run prayer schools, which really focuses on equipping people to be strategic in prayer, Now, our vision for the future is to also fill stadiums, because we believe God is going to do that in this nation, where we're going to see thousands upon thousands of people gathering, not just to have a nice worship time, but to cry out to God for revival in this nation. And God has given us a vision to fill stadiums, along with other great prayer movements going on in this nation. So we would love to connect with you. I would like to encourage you to check out our videos online, connect with us on our Facebook page and Twitter. I would love for you to come to our prayer gatherings. We believe we're living in a very significant time, and God is wanting to do amazing things in this nation, but I believe it has to be founded on the prayers of the saints. And this is the time when God is calling us as the church to rise up and take responsibility for this nation.